Hey beauties, welcome to the channel, Pretty Colored Girls. I'm so excited to have you here. I'm so nervous making this video. I've been contemplating making this video for years now. Honestly, I've always been a bit apprehensive, especially talking about things that are controversial. I'm very much like to just listen, observe, and put my two cents in the comments when I can. But I figured I'll bite the bullet, and I want to create a community where we all could come together. So this channel is for women that are affected by the Black community. So unambiguous Black and light-skinned women, and multi-generational and biracial mixed with Black women. And I know that all these women have their own communities that they can go to and talk about their problems and, their experiences and everything. But I don't see a lot of channels where we can all come together and kind of talk about our issues and talk about how we can level up and live our best lives and everything. And I do want to say that this channel is decentering trauma and men, because these are the two things that I see that a lot of the other channels kind of center around. Pretty much they center around that. And, there's a few here and there, but for the most part, it's all directed towards like how there's a systematic oppression towards us and the male gaze, how we want men to want us. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with wanting to find solutions and talk about these issues. But I feel like sometimes it's more of a complaining and there's lacking of the solution part. But that's beside the point. This channel primarily is for all the pretty girlies, the pretty women who want to still kind of have these talking points, but more so find or create a solution on how we can better live in this world, because this is our lives, and I'm not going to live my life living in struggle. I don't want to struggle. I don't want to at least I don't want to have the mindset of struggle, right? It's life. Things happen. Life happens, but I don't want to make struggle my identity, which is what tend to happen in the Black community. The foundation of the Black community is struggle. And to me, that is a horrible way to live. We are not going to level up in the community having this mindset. So just so you have an idea of who is talking, I am a Caribbean American, darker skinned woman with type 4A, 4B, type 4 hair. With type 4 hair. And I have more of an African, like an Eastern African features, phenotype, and I was adopted, so I honestly don't know if there's any admixture in there. I do want to take a DNA test within this year, just out of interest, and I'm hoping to find some family members, so I will update that when I can. But as of now, I view myself as a Caribbean American Black woman. This video is going to be more of like a rant style video, and going off of the women that I named that were welcomed in this community. Again, I wanted to create a community where we are come together and kind of talk and share ideas and level up and live our best lives and stuff. And I do want to say that some of the other channels do tend to be trauma-based, male focus. There's like lots of undertone of envy in there, and I like to say envy and not jealousy, because I feel like envy and jealousy are different. I feel like jealousy is a normal human emotion, and I feel like envy is a bit more on the sinister side. I don't know, because to me, I can be jealous of someone, I could be jealous of someone's outfit, of someone's hair, of someone's lifestyle, but not do anything about it. Maybe I'll use that jealousy to level up myself. I look at more of like admiration, but maybe that's me. Whereas when I think of envy, I think of, oh, I'm going to put that person down. I'm going to put myself higher than this person just because they have something that I have, or I'm going to sabotage them in some way, or sabotage people that look like them. That's kind of what I view envy as versus jealousy, but I could be wrong. I just feel like a lot, a lot of people in the Black community are very envious of each other. And specifically, if you're closer, if you have a proximity to whiteness, if you are anything other than unambiguous Black, there seems to be either a need to be like that, like an envy of that, or a want to claim ownership of that. And I've seen some channels that talk about it, and I was so happy to hear that because I've always seen this. I've always felt that way. So to go off of my experience, we know that in the Black community that there's a lot of trauma-based struggle in there, meaning racism, colorism, texturism, featureism, and any other isms I can't think of. But focusing on the 4 isms, I would say that I haven't really experienced colorism outside of the home, and I have only one person that directly affected me in the home, and then the second one is just indirect. So I wasn't targeted, but I just kind of like heard. It was more so the insecurities that I saw coming out that of course somewhat did affect me in a way, but not to the point where like I hated myself or anything. But I've never been made fun of or bullied for my skin tone in my younger years or anything. And I've never had my skin tone call out in a negative way other than that one person in the home, and that was like in my later teens, like 15, 16. And texturism, again, I mostly had my hair permed. I had my hair always in braids or sew-in. So again, that wasn't something that I really did, I was affected by, although when I was a bit younger, I do remember being told that I had nicer textured hair. And I do have a story time that I will, put on my channel later on about an incident where someone who was supposed to be taking care of me sabotaged my hair, and I strongly feel that way with perm. So I will put that story time up one of these days. But again, not a lot with the texturism. Racism is something that I want to say I also haven't experienced, at least not directly. I feel like if I've experienced any of these things, it's probably been indirectly. And with my background of being in the foster system, I was in survival mode. I was looking for a stable home. I doubt that my mind was really focusing on on if it's not like right in my face, I probably wouldn't have noticed it because my mind was more focused on other things. So when it comes to racism, I just don't remember. Maybe comments were made. I don't have any trauma that comes from it. Being that I was in the foster system, I did move around a lot. And I did go to predominantly white schools. And within those white schools, I don't remember ever being made feel like I was that different. If anything, I was born in Turks and Caicos Island, but even the language, that wasn't a thing because we speak English in Turks and Caicos. So I really honestly didn't feel it. I have witnessed it of some sort throughout my life, and of course, certain micro comments were made by it. But as for me being trauma, I'm just not the type to go where I'm not wanted. And I feel like being in America, we as Black people have the unique ability to just be able to create our own businesses and create a community where we're wanted. So it just doesn't make too much sense for me to kind of make a big deal out of somebody not wanting me, unless it's like directly negatively impacting me at that moment. Of course, I'm going to do something about it. But I feel like in the community, we do more complaining instead of, finding solutions for it, or the solutions we want doesn't really help us in the long run, in my opinion. And I also feel like if anybody dares bring that up or find a solution that I do agree can help us, there's a lot of pushback by it because we like to remain in the struggle mindset. Be Black is to struggle. Apparently, I don't believe that. I don't agree with that. But it just seems to be what the mindset is of this community. So, that being said, going off of racism, I just, some of the best people I've met have been white. And I think part of that is because I have used certain privileges that I have to my advantage, right? So I think I'm not going to lie because I kind of want to go off of this in another video on how certain privileges you do have does help you in certain communities. And I don't think there's anything wrong with it. So when we talk about being bullied or being made fun of, something that I was always made fun of is I was always called an Oreo. So when I did go to a school that had Black kids, primarily if there were any ghetto ones or hood, not that there's anything wrong with being ghetto or hood, but those kids would make fun of me. Like they would be like, "Oh, you just want to be white. You're an Oreo." If I liked a certain type of music or, a certain subject, or I liked reading or whatever I was into that wasn't quote unquote Black, I would be made fun of. It would be called out. And it wasn't to the point where I was bullied, where I have trauma from it. They were just making comments, backhanded compliments. "Oh, you look like this white person." But it was more of a backhanded compliment. They were insulting me. So that's more so the negative reactions I've had from the Black community. I don't know if that's featureism. Like I said, I have more of an Eastern African features. I personally don't think I have European features. I feel like I do have smaller features. Like my nose is on the slimmer side. I don't have the wide West African nostrils or anything. It is more on the slimmer side, but I don't have the slimmest of nose. I would say I if I had to compare my nose, I can see maybe, I don't know. I'll put pictures up because I can't think of it right now, but I do have a bit of a more broader, slimmer, smaller nose, but to me, it's not European. I don't know. My mouth is more of it's smaller. It's a bit poutier, but it's not like Western lips, which I think is beautiful. That's always something that I've wanted. I've always admired the bigger, juicier lips and stuff. And then my eyes is also smaller. I get compliments on the shape of my eyes and everything. But I've always found myself wanting the bigger, almond shaped eyes. I feel like mine are smaller. So I don't know if those comments were made because of my features. I'm pretty sure they were, based off of the backhanded compliments comparing me to white people and stuff, or a white celebrity. So that's where I find myself, if there's any trauma that were to come to that, I've always felt like when I'm in the Black community, I have to kind of act quote unquote Black, whatever that means. If I was into something, music or anything, I would have to kind of hide it. I'd feel very uncomfortable. So that's some of the internalized, I don't want to say inferiority. I can't say that word, but that's kind of, if I was insecure about anything, it would be about those things. And regarding the colorism, the one male that was colorist against me was in the home. He was a family friend. And this was, I think I was around 15, 16 at the time. He was around the same age. And he was 2 shades darker than me. And the first time I heard it, I was I laughed it off because it didn't make sense to me for him to make fun of me, because I was you are much darker than me. Not much darker, but he was darker than me. And I was that doesn't make any sense to call me Blackie, or always bring up, made it a mission of his to bring up my skin tone. I'm okay, that's weird. But I quickly realized that the reason he did that was because he didn't like his own skin tone. Inferiority complex within the Black community. And that is something that I have noticed a lot. So even though I wasn't bullied, for my skin tone or my hair or my features and stuff like that, quote, to the point where, people went out of their way to sabotage me. Again, if they did, I didn't notice. Like I said, with the texturism part, I do have a story of a guardian who, tried to sabotage my hair and stuff. But I feel like I've seen it a lot. Like I've seen darker skinned women go after lighter skinned women with like loose textured hair, or even if they're darker skinned and they had just a hair type that they were jealous of or they wanted. They'd stick gum, they tried to cut it, this and that. I've seen lighter skinned women go after darker skinned people or men and women about their features. I've seen darker skinned men make fun of lighter skinned biracial women about their features and their hair because they really wanted them. It's everybody's going after everybody, right? And it's usually the people, because I don't hear that being talked about. It's not just one side doing it to the other side. Because of the hate in the Black community, I saw everybody doing it. Now, I saw everyone doing it, but I'm not going to lie. I'm going to be honest. The people who were the most hateful happened to be unambiguous Black people. They did, that's just the truth. Like, especially if the women were male-centered, oh my gosh. Let you be the type that these guys like, and you were in for a rude awakening, right? Like, it was bad. Even if you are a darker skinned woman that, maybe you have that feature that this, like your feature looked different, you look ambiguous in some sort of way, you would be made fun of. Even if you were unambiguous, they would make fun of you because, again, it's that whole self-hate thing. Even though they have the same features, they have the same skin tone, they would go after you because they hate themselves, right? Or they want what you have, or they want to have claim. All the time I see that I want to claim biracials so bad because they want that to be part of the Black community. They want ownership of you. And it's just the chaos within the community. There's pure struggle, pure hate. And I know that it was founded, especially in America, it came from all the trauma that happened in our past. But just for us to be in this day and age and still passing on that trauma is crazy to me. It makes no sense at all. And I'm really annoyed, which is why I've always kind of distanced myself from the Black community. I'm not going to lie. I have distanced myself because I've never been a person to want to be in a chaotic environment. Like I said, I spent my whole life trying to be in a stable environment, right? So when I see instability, I tend to just distance myself from it. That's the Black community as a whole. Now, I love being Black. I love, especially Caribbean. I love the food. We are extremely talented. We have amazing creativity. We're very we're very intelligent. So we have so many good things going on for us. And I love that aspect of it. But unfortunately, we are obsessed with struggling. And we don't seem to want to at least try the solutions that I feel like would help elevate us. And I feel like if you're in the Black community and you have certain advantages, because you do have advantage, we all have advantage against other people. And I've always believed that, right? But I've always kind of kept it to myself because when I did happen to mention it, I had a lot of pushback. So I was like, okay, I like my peace, so we'll agree to disagree. But I've always believed that if you have an advantage, you should use it. So if you know that you having a certain hair type or a certain feature, how you talk, your personality, how you look, if that brings you an advantage of life, it to me, it makes the most sense to take it, right? Because as humans, we've got to where we are now because we've created advantages to make our lives easier. We've used our advantage to make our lives easier. That's why we have cars. That's why we have houses. That's why we have jobs to make life easier. Like, we're not all out hunting for our food. We have grocery stores. Like, we've created this whole system for humans to live a more stress-free life, right? So to me, even with all the craziness, even with all the things that's wrong in this life, we all have to admit that humans today are much better off than humans thousands, hundreds of years ago, even 50 years ago, right? So I think it's crazy if I'm a person who knows and have experienced a good treatment, quality treatment, because of a certain way I look, how I talk, how I act, how I show up in this world. Damn right, I'm going to use it to my advantage. Like, are you crazy? Of course. So I think for me, people have always liked my personality. I'm very like bubbly. People have complimented the way I talked. I smile, always gotten compliments on my complexion and stuff like that. So I've always viewed myself as a whole as a pretty girl. Like, I've always said that I was a pretty girl. I think the only issue was I like longer hair, so I don't have any issues with my hair texture. It's more my length. It's more the length. And my hair is growing. I don't have any trouble growing my hair, thank God. I think my problem is when I'm working a lot, I tend to like neglect myself more because I'm working so much. But that's something that I'm working on. I'm not going to blame it on my genetics. I'm not going to blame it on me not looking like somebody, because I have the self-awareness to know that if I don't look my best self, it's because I'm not putting in that work, right? So that's kind of where I come in when it comes to my hair. But guess what? If I want my hair to look a certain way, there's weaves, there's extensions, there's all that, right? And I'm the type where people have always thought that whatever hair, if I was wearing extensions or whatever, people have always thought it was my hair, because I've never been into the long bust down wigs and all that. Nothing wrong with that if that's what you do, but I never liked that look on me. I've always felt like very unnatural. If you were to find my Instagram and look at it, you'll see that majority of my hair has been curly. Like, I have everything from type 4 to type like 3B or 3A or something. And I don't have any issue with saying that I will wear a looser textured hair. You know why? Because I admire those hair types. It's not that I want to be that person, but I can admit that that's a pretty hair type. I also think type 4 is a pretty hair type. I just prefer longer lengths. So even type 3A, I don't like it short on my hair. So it's all about the length, but I like how it looks. I even like how straight hair looks, just not on me. So I'm not going to hate on women that have, a different hair texture than me just because I'm jealous that I don't have that hair type, right? So, because that's what I see. I see that it's the envy. Because I don't have it and I want it, I'm going to bring you down. And that just never made sense to me. And like I said, it's always, to me, it seems to be in regards of men, wanting men validation and attention, which there's nothing wrong with that. But me personally, this is who I am. I'm going to show up as my best self, and whoever comes to me, may the best man win, right? Like, I'm not about to go chase you, right? If I know that as a group, your type tends to be this, that's fine, right? The men will look at me, and when they see me, if they like what they see, they'll come, right? I don't need every man in the Black community to want me. I don't need every man in any of the communities. I don't need all of them to want me. You just need a few so you can have some options, and then you just pick the best one for you. So I feel like it's a certain, it's another like competition that I see within a lot of women, is that we're all competing. And to be honest with you, it's like what we really should be competing in the Black community is like therapy, because again, we're nowhere where we need to be in terms of healing from all the trauma that we've been through. Instead, we spent so much time talking about the trauma and, trauma bonding over it, that I don't really see any real moves being made. Like, I see some people creating channels and talking about it. I do see that. But as a whole, as a collective, you do see a lot of pushbacks with those individuals who are just talking about these solutions, right? So, yeah, I think that's pretty much what I have to say. I don't want this video to be too long. I kind of just wanted to have this conversation. It's more like a rant. Like, I kind of want to just tell you guys my headspace of where I'm at so you have a good idea of my thoughts. This channel is, like I said, decentering trauma, decentering men, and, you know, being pretty girls. So I want to talk about ways to use your advantages to the best of your ability so it will benefit you. I want to talk about not focusing on your weaknesses and more so focusing on your strengths so you can use it to benefit you, right? Like, you can work on your weaknesses and still utilize your strengths to get to where you need to go in life. And I feel like it doesn't have to be all negativity. It doesn't have to be the victim mindset, the woe it's me, everybody and everything is against me. No, I'm at the bottom. At the bottom where? When I first heard that Black women were at the bottom, I was like, I don't see the bottom. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. With all that I've been through in life, I am not going to allow anybody to tell me where I should be or who I should be, because I know who I am and I know where I want to go and I know where I want to be. So it's like, okay, I don't have to be the prettiest person. I don't have to be the richest person. I don't have to be the nicest person. I just have to be the best person that I can be and live the life that I want to live, right? So I'm not going to care what other people want me to be or who they think I should be, because I feel like when certain people are confident, there is something wrong with that, right? Like, and I've even seen it with, I see it in the Black community all the time where a certain group is allowed to celebrate their skin tone while another is not. Light versus dark. I do see, now I know it comes from colorism and all that, but just because there was trauma in regards of your skin tone, that doesn't mean that somebody of a lighter skin tone shouldn't celebrate her skin. That's unfair, because there's because something we don't talk about is just like there's the white guilt, there's the light skin guilt, right? And that's something that we don't talk about in the community a lot. And when I do hear certain channels talking about it, they get a lot of hate. But to me, that doesn't make sense, because we're the different side of the same coin, right? Like, we're all pretty much going through the same thing. It just happens a bit differently, right? And I think we need to just learn to take advantage of our privileges. And I'm gonna leave it at that, because I could keep going on forever and I don't want to make this video too long. But thank you so much for listening to me. I'm so appreciative of anyone who is still here, clicked on this video, who likes to hear what I say and you agree with me, even if you don't agree with everything, because on this channel, I like to hear different opinions. I like to learn. This is a community. We all don't have to think the same, because we are not a monolith, right? We're all different. We all have different experiences. And I would love to just create videos where I talk about those differences and the nuances and everything. So again, I hope that you decide to stay and join our community, and leave a comment below on topics that you want to hear. I will probably in the near future start doing story times. If you have any stories that you want me to share on here, I would love to do that. And don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. And see you guys later. Bye.